Hey guys, it's Dan Lotz here. I'm a filmmaker making 12 feature films in 12 months. I've just finished and released my 10th film, and I wanted to talk to you guys about my process as a filmmaker. How do I get onto set? How do I get to the point that I'm shooting footage? What are things that I need to know before I even get on set? And things that you, as a newcomer or a new director, might need to know in order to get onto set without as least amount of problems as possible. So let's just get right into it. The first thing is being a producer. If you're a producer, you're going to run into specific issues that are going to be problems on set, and if you can spike those before you get on set, it'll be a lot easier to succeed as your movie goes on. The first thing will be scheduling. This is just getting on the phone with actors, and my number one rule, my golden rule, is call everyone 2 to 3 times, because you'd be surprised what information you tell people even, let's say, less than a month ago, that they will forget. And I've experienced this with actors. They're notorious for it. You'll tell them something 3 times over and they'll still miss it. And so the number one thing I think you need to do if you're just getting on set and you have actors, you have crew, is to just hit them up on their phone the week before, a couple days before, and then the day of. And that will absolutely assure that you're not going to have a surprise cancellation at the last minute. My second thing is have your ending in mind. A lot of people are going to be writing scripts, and if you're writing scripts, this doesn't really apply to you because you'll have the whole script together. But if you're doing improv movies like I'm doing, have the ending in mind. If you're going to improv it or you're going to shoot it and you're not exactly sure how all the pieces are going to fit together, the best way to assure that it's going to come out good is at least have a good ending in mind. If you have a good ending, you can always build backwards. And I think that as you get into that improv storytelling, that the further you go back, the more you're going to add layers and depth to the characters, because you can put in scenes along the way that will help push that ending to become more emotional and more complex. So that's one thing, especially if you're an improv filmmaker, you might want to be aware of. The third thing is weird props. This is something that I think you don't really think about until you're on set, but like props that are hard to get. There are certain things that are just going to be harder to get than other things, and they might take a couple days or a couple weeks, especially if you're buying them, let's say on like eBay or something. So make sure that you mark down in your script or your outline like any weird props. Like if a character has a very specific gun or has a very specific car or something that you need to have in the film, these are something that you can really dial in beforehand and make sure that you're on set, you're not worrying about this stuff. Because the worst thing is when you get onto either the day or the week of and then you can't find that specific prop and then you have to push those shoots back. So that's one thing I would definitely be careful about, is if you are a director producer on your films, always make sure that you have that prop list sort of in the back of your head at all times so that you know what you're doing. When I was working on my film Ramen Sucker Punch, I totally forgot about a blood prop, and we ended up having to reshoot that whole scene, and it's a very critical part of the movie. And it almost ended up not even being in the movie because I was just like so tired that I was like, I don't know if I really need to do this. But I ended up going back, reshooting it, and it turned out really well. So make sure that you have a specific prop when you need it and you're not really scrambling for it. Number 4 is a very specific thing, which is locations. Make sure you've scouted out a location beforehand. The worst thing that you could possibly do as a filmmaker is to show up on set and have never seen the location before. Anything that you're going to do, framing, lighting, blocking, all that stuff is revolving around that location. So make sure you hit up the location at least a couple days before and get a feeling for the scene. You might even know that you have access to this place and feel like, hey, I know this area. But it never even hurts, even if it's something you're familiar with, even if it's your home, your parents' home, whatever. If you're going to a specific place, you want to scout it out just from a filmmaking perspective. I would suggest bringing your camera with you and testing out the lighting, testing out the blocking, testing out all the things that might need to be run through before you shoot, because those are things that you really can't improv when you're on set. Once you get there, you're stuck with what you got. And the last thing will be make sure to pack water. This is something so important. Food and water, but specifically water. If you're on a hot day shooting, a lot of times people, especially indie filmmakers, are shooting during the summer because it's so much harder to get people during the winter. Pack some cold water. you can put it in like the freezer and freeze the water and then put it in your car, and so by the time you get done it'll be melted. You can get a cooler, you can do all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that your crew is hydrated. I was on a different movie that I was working on, and we ended up having to go all the way back because we ran out of water. And it's such a simple fix that you could easily remember, but if you forget it and you're on set and everyone is thirsty, you're going to suffer. Your crew is going to suffer, and you're not going to be in an enjoyable environment to create. So these are my 5 tips of 5 things you need to know about before you start your feature films, before you start your film. And I really hope that this was helpful. I made a new bunch of videos. You should check those out. And my announcement is that, because I was saying on the other video that I had an announcement, I am working on officially a sequel for Chlorine, and it's going to be shot in about like 7 days. We're having some people come in from out of town to film with us, and I'm really, really excited. I can't wait to tell you more, but I can't tell you right here. I'll have to tell you on the next video. So tune in for that, and I'll see you tomorrow.